So Samsung just released the brand new Galaxy Note 10 series, and I say series because they didn't just release one Galaxy Note 10. They have the Note 10, the Note 10 Plus, and the 5G version. So they have a lot coming out right now. Right here I have the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. This phone is absolutely amazing. So it is pretty big, but they have a lot going on here. So they changed the geometry a little bit. I'm going to talk about that in this video, and I really want to dive in and kind of debunk some of the claims, see if they're true or false, about different things with this phone. So they made some really bold claims with their specs on this. They said that the screen was amazing, the battery's amazing, they moved the buttons around like I said, they also said it connects to Windows, the cameras are supposed to be improved. There's a lot going on, and I'm going to dive in and explain all of it to you guys in this video. So starting this off with what is in the box, on the lid side, of course you have the manual, you have your SIM removal tool, all of that's pretty standard. Then in the actual box itself, on the other half, you have a USB-C charging block. This is 25 watts, which is honestly not even the most that this phone can handle. The phone can handle up to 45 watt fast charging. You have to buy the 45 watt charger separately, a little bit of a downer, but 25 is still pretty fast. Now this is a USB-C charging block, which means that the cable it comes with is a dual end USB-C cable, which is really nice to have. It's 2019. That is just one less dongle you need if you're plugging into a newer laptop. Then we also have, of course, this little adapter right here, USB-C on one end, USB-C or USB-A on the other end. Then we also have the earbuds. Now these earbuds are a little different from the older ones because these earbuds right here actually plug in with USB-C. So I'm actually going to test out later on in this video and really see if these work on any other devices besides just the Galaxy Note 10. Then of course we also have the little shish kebab of earpieces right there so that the earbuds fit better in your ears. You can interchange, there's 3 different sizes. And honestly, these earbuds, if they're anything like the S10 earbuds, they sound really good. I like them, although I will say the braided cable sometimes makes a little bit of noise if it rubs against buttons on your shirt or any other clothing you might have. So right here I have the Note 10 Plus in black. Now they have 4 different colors you can choose from. The one that you've probably seen the most on all these different reviews and posts and blogs and everything is the absolutely crazy one that has all the different colors when you look at different angles. I chose the black one, just a little bit more of my style of the type of phone I want to have. I'm going to be putting a case on it anyway, and so that's why I just chose the black one. So guys, a quick little aside here, if you're new here and have not yet subscribed, but you're interested in the latest tech just like this, please go down and click the subscribe button and the bell icon. If you don't, YouTube will not notify you about the latest tech. Okay, so looking at the phone, the first thing that you can't miss is the obvious large screen on this. So the screen is absolutely massive, and they have a really good ratio on this between screen to body. So you see a really tiny bezel on the bottom, literally nothing on the sides as the screen wraps around the edges, and then on the top, the smallest bezel, and then of course the camera cutout in the middle. Now, the tiny bezel on the top, you can't even see it right there, but there's a tiny speaker going from about there to right about there, and that is where you have your speaker right there for when you're on the phone. And like I said, it's so small. They did a really good job minimizing the bezel on this phone. I really do like that. So this is a 6.8-inch screen compared to the 6.3-inch screen on the Note 10. This is dynamic AMOLED, has HDR10 plus capabilities on there, and it's the Infinity O display by Samsung. So obviously a really good, really high quality screen. It gets very bright and it has very vibrant colors. I love this display on this phone. That's probably one of the best features about this phone and one of the most attractive reasons people might want to be buying this phone. So besides just the screen right here, you also of course have the camera on the top. Now they shrunk it down. If we take the S10 and compare the size of that, so holding them side by side, you'll see that the camera is slightly smaller on this one. And of course they moved it to the middle, as I said. Some people like that, some people don't like that. I'm kind of indifferent right now. I don't know if I like having it in the middle or not. Comment down below if you guys like or dislike that. I want to hear from you guys whether or not you like the relocation of the camera. So besides the camera, there's something else going on with the screen right here that you can't actually see, and that is underneath the screen right there. You have your fingerprint sensor. This is an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor like what we saw in the S10, and so when you just tap your finger on there, it's very fast, very responsive, and it's a very safe way of signing into your phone. So this is great for things like Samsung Pass, or if you have anything else on your phone that you want to keep in a secure folder, it's nice to have it signing in with your fingerprint so that people don't look over your shoulder at your password or anything like that. Now this is also extra secure if you're using something like Samsung DeX, and this is your only place to store information, so you don't have a laptop. If you do everything on this phone, it can be extra safe because you're saving everything and securing it with your fingerprint. So I'll talk about DeX later on in the video, but continuing on with the mechanical tour of this device, you'll see on the top, you actually have you know, pretty simple. You just have a speaker and a microphone up there. Originally, people thought from the leaks this might be an IR blaster. It's actually just a speaker up there. And then you have your tray right there, which is going to be your SIM and expandable storage right here. You can expand it up to 1 terabyte of extra memory on your SD card. This is only for the Plus guys. You can't do that on the Note 10. So looking at the bottom of the phone right there, you can see that you have the S Pen over there. You have speakers right there, which I will test out later on in this video. You have your USB-C, a microphone, and then if you notice what's missing right there, they actually got rid of the headphone jack. So guys, let's have a moment of silence for our lost headphone jack. Samsung has been holding on to it for a long time, putting it in all their devices. A lot of people like that, but they finally jumped ship on that and they finally got rid of the headphone jack. So just something that they got rid of on this one. I don't know if you guys care about that or not. Comment down below. I know some people might be a little upset about that. Some people are happy that they just have one less port on there and they can just move on and use Bluetooth earbuds anyway. So flipping over to the back, you'll notice that this is a glass sandwich phone, as a lot of the new flagship phones are. You have glass on the front and the back. It's Gorilla Glass 6, and it's IP68, so you should be really water resistant on this one. Shouldn't have to worry about splashing or dropping this in any kind of bodies of water, and it is relatively scratch proof, but that does mean that this phone is going to be a fingerprint magnet. You're gonna have fingerprints all over this. You might wanna get a skin or a case. You'll also see that up on the top, you have your 3 cameras right there. Now these are oriented differently from what you saw on the S10, where it was a big Cyclops looking thing. Now it looks a little bit more like the iPhones. I don't know if you like that or not, but that's how they rearranged them, and they are actually closer together here. So you have your 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, you have a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, and then you also have a 12 megapixel telephoto lens. So 3 lenses. Actually, I use it more than you might think, and it is actually kind of nice to have. Then you have your flash, and right there you have your depth sensors. Now that reminds me, on the front, I didn't mention this, but the camera right there, the front facing camera, is 10 megapixels, and that actually, unlike the S10 Plus, you do not have a depth sensor on the front. So the S Pen was redesigned. They do have some subtle differences with the Bluetooth connectivity here and the gestures you're able to do. I'll test those out later on in the video, but overall it feels like a pretty normal S Pen. It's, you know, pretty plasticky. It flexes a little bit if you squeeze it like that, but overall it feels decent to write with, and it has really good resistance on the screen. So something else going on behind the back cover right here, this does have wireless charging 2.0 and reverse wireless charging. So if you want to charge your devices, specifically your peripheral devices like the Galaxy Buds, or you can maybe charge someone else's phone if you want, you can do that from the back of your phone. It's not the most efficient way to charge things, but it's good in a pinch if you're on a subway and your earbuds are running out of juice. This phone also has Snapdragon 855 and 12 gigabytes of RAM. The 10 only has 8 gigabytes of RAM, so one subtle difference there. This also has 256 gigabytes of onboard storage, and you can go up to 512 gigabytes of onboard storage. Just another reason that this might be able to replace laptops. That's kind of the direction Samsung's moving in, especially with Samsung DeX. The battery on this one is 4,300 milliamp hours, where the Note 10 is only 3,500 milliamp hours. So this is a very large battery. It's supposed to last you like 20 something hours. After using it for a whole day, you'll see that I am actually at about 50% right now, and I did charge it overnight, and I have not charged it all day. 6 p.m. right now, so it definitely lasts a reasonable amount of time. I would say most people can probably get through a day with no problems. The screen on the front is 498 pixels per inch, and it's 3040 by 1440. Like I said, very high quality screen. Now what I want to do is run some tests here. So starting off with the earbuds, I really want to see if these work on other devices. I'm going to try them on my phone and on my laptop. So starting off with my Galaxy S10, which does have a headphone jack, plugging into the USB-C right there, these earbuds do work. Next, when I plug them into my laptop, you'll see that once again, they actually do work. It plays music just fine. So I would assume that these can plug into almost anything with USB-C, and they will be functional. So honestly, I'm not that upset anymore that these are USB-C earbuds that these came with. So the fact that they work with so many other things, these actually might be the earbuds of the future. More headphones might start looking like this. So the camera package on this phone is supposed to be really, really impressive. They changed a few things about live focus, so now you have live focus video. So we'll test that out right now and see what that looks like. Hey guys, so this is live focus video with just a blur in the background. I think it looks kind of decent. There's a little bit of a weird glow around my hair. Maybe a better way to tell if this is good or not would be to do it in the black and white mode. Okay, so here we are in the black and white mode, like I said, and it looks like if I wave my hand around, because this is kind of skin colored behind me, it can get a little bit confused about where the edges are. But overall, I would say this does a decent job considering that there really aren't many places that you can do something like this with just a phone. So this is the front-facing camera. This is what it looks like and sounds like if you're filming or vlogging with this. It is 4K. Honestly, this camera is really, really good. I really like this. It's a little bit shaky right now because it is stabilizing a little bit, but not really that much. So when I'll show you the stabilization a little bit on the other cameras on the back, but all four of these cameras are using 4K. Now, if you actually take out the S Pen on this, you are able to control the camera pretty well with the S Pen, so obviously you can take pictures with it. It is connected by Bluetooth, but some of the other things you can do, there are some air gestures, so you should be able to swipe back and forth and just go between different camera modes just by going like that. You can flip the front and rear facing cameras by swiping up like that. If you press and hold or double press, and there's a lot of other things you can do with this. One thing that didn't really work that well for me was trying to zoom in, so if you press it and you swirl a little bit, you should be able to zoom in and out, but for some reason it's not really working that well for me. So I have to say, I do kind of feel like Harry Potter if I'm like have this little wand and I'm like trying to control my camera. You definitely look a little bit weird doing that in public, at least. So just taking a regular photo right here, I only have one Philips Hue light bulb in the entire room and it's at 10%. So it's really, really dark in here and the camera picks it up really, really well. It's actually impressively bright and it's not even that grainy considering how much light there is going on here. So if we go back to the ultra wide angle, this is 16 megapixels. It's a little bit darker, and then telephoto is also not that bright. But let's go down and check out the night mode right here. Wow, that actually did really well. It captured color really well. It doesn't even look that grainy. That's actually really, really good. And it's actually really pretty crisp considering I don't think I was staying that steady. I think I was moving around a little bit considering how long the shutter was open. So I would say night mode actually did a really, really good job here. Okay, so testing out the stabilization, I have the ultra wide lens on right now. And if you twist it, you'll see it looks a little bit weird because it's doing a warp stabilization there. But if I'm like jumping up and down or moving around a lot, you'll see that it actually is really steady. So you could run around with this and not have any problems at all. So this phone right here is running One UI as all the flagship phones by Samsung do these days. And so if I swipe down, you'll get into your settings. Some of the things I really like about this phone in particular, first of all, One UI is really nice that I'm able to use one thumb down in the corner and pretty much access the settings fairly easily. I don't have like I'm not like Shaq, my hands aren't huge, but I can definitely reach most of the phone if I stretch, but this doesn't make me stretch. This is pretty comfortable to reach everything I need to right there. Something new about this phone, you see right there is link to Windows. I do like that option, and I'll show you that in a second. But something else that's new on here, if we go over, there is a screen recorder built in. So this is now kind of like what iPhones do, where you have a built-in screen recorder. No longer do you need those third-party apps to do that. So something else that I like is the fact that when you take the S Pen out, there are a bunch of options. And one thing that I really am interested in especially is the AR Doodle. I think AR Doodle is kind of fun. It's not really anything that is practical or useful, but what you can do is go everywhere and scan around the room for a second. So then you have all these different pens on the bottom and you can sort of doodle things in 3D space and move your phone around. And then as you look at it from different angles, this is actually, it's obviously 3D. Augmented reality is going on there because on the back you have these depth sensing cameras. So it kind of enables something really cool there, really fun, especially if you have little kids that want to play with this. So I want to test out AR measure, but in order to do that, I want to go and measure how high this can is. So whip out the ruler on there and it tells you that it is about 4.75 inches, approximately 4.75 inches. So if we just set the can over there and go back to the quick measure app, you can look at it and it pops up with a box around there like you see right there, and it tells me that it's 4.5 inches high. So that's actually reasonably accurate, maybe off by a couple percent right there. But if you're just trying to get a quick estimate of how big something is, and for some reason you just can't look at that and estimate 4.5 inches, this is definitely a reasonable way to do that. It doesn't work with things really far away, but it does give you a general idea of how far things are. So we're 13 inches away, 14 inches away, and you can measure different parts of this object. So go from the corner, measure over to there, that's 2.5 inches. We can measure on the wall. If we go from there over to there, it's like almost 2 feet. So some really cool things going on with the quick measure app. So even though this phone does have a vapor cooling chamber in the back, and it does stay relatively cool in most situations, I will say if you are doing a lot of augmented reality and you have the screen brightness up, because the screen is so big and it's so bright, your phone might get a little bit warm. Just up in the higher regions right there, it doesn't really get hot, but it might get a little bit warm. But honestly, it's not really that bad. This phone is really good at keeping itself cool considering how much is going on. This is also a phone that is considered really good for gaming. So if you use this for games, comment down below and let me know what you think of this. I also want to test out Samsung DeX on here, as well as the Windows integration when you plug it into a computer. So the Windows integration actually worked really well. I was pretty impressed that I could access the entire phone and go through like that. You could also go and have all of your images or your pictures from your phone on the laptop immediately, and you can access messages and send text from your laptop, something that Windows has been lacking in for a while. So Samsung DeX, then, like I said before, I made an entire separate video on that, so I'll link that right above there. But essentially, you can have this entire separate interface where your phone acts like a desktop, and you can connect a mouse and a keyboard and a screen, a monitor, a TV, or whatever to your phone. So to summarize with this phone, some of the pros, I really like the screen. Obviously, that's one of the most impressive things about this phone is how big it is, how small the bezel is, and how bright and colorful this screen really is. So I really do like that. I like how small the camera is now on the top, the cutaway. It allows for more screen and less bezel, less cutout, none of the notches or anything like that. So just having a small camera on the top is pretty nice. The overall feel of the phone, it does feel relatively light. It's something like 195 grams or so. So it's really not that heavy. It feels nice to hold despite being as large as it is. And the One UI makes it very easy to use with one hand, again, even though it's so large. So some of the cons with this phone, yes, it's extremely powerful and the screen's amazing, but it is a really big phone. So like I said, it doesn't feel too bad to hold for me, but if you're, maybe a girl with smaller hands, or if you have smaller pockets, this might not be an ideal phone for you to get. Now, also, I will say the S Pen, I really do like the gestures. They're a cool idea. Taking pictures remotely is a cool concept, but zooming in and stuff like that didn't really work that well with this. Again, I'm not really gonna hold that too much against this phone because I don't think it's a big deal. If I have my phone somewhere, I'm not gonna try to zoom in remotely. I don't really see that as a huge practical application for me at least, but I could see that the gestures going sideways or vertical, which did work fine, they could be very useful if you're presenting a PowerPoint, especially with something like Samsung DeX. Another con is the price on this. So coming in at over $1,000, that is kind of hard to afford for a lot of people, but you might be able to justify it in your budget if you kind of convince yourself that you don't need a laptop. So this phone is very powerful and it has Samsung DeX, like I said. So if you're replacing your laptop and your phone with just this, then suddenly it's $500 for a laptop, $500 for a phone, combined into one, and you get this device right here. That's just my thought on that. I don't know if you guys agree or not. Comment down below. But that's everything I have to say about the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. This phone is absolutely amazing, and I think I'm going to be switching over from my S10 to this phone from now on. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.